see if that works. So you can check my audio picture. No, wait a minute. It's still, yeah, it's still looking.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see you.
You can.
Oh, that's a new backdrop.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that looks good.
All right, and can you hear me? Testing.
Yes.
Well, of course you can hear me in the phone. Okay, I'll hang up just now, Fee. All right. If anything okay, goes wrong, give me a text. Bye. Okay, bye. Hi, folks. I was just with my technical advisor. Let me see. Let me check. I'm here. Oh, well, sorry. Let me just go to the page. Come on. You would think I would know by now. Sorry, folks, just be with you in a second. We'll just get into the meditation. I hope you're all doing as good as you can today, as good as is possible. If you are feeling rough, then maybe we can turn that around a little bit. With some meditating. For some reason, I didn't go to the page. Okay, no, that's good. I like to see who's here. I like to check in that, like, for instance, Rebecca is here, and Catherine's here, and Amy's here from Dallas, and Minna's here, and Gabrielle from Oklahoma, Carlos from Brazil, Campina Grande. Great, that's good. So what our theme today? You know, I didn't mean this to turn into a habit, you know, the old guitar, but I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. With apologies to Nina Simone and the Animals. I was just listening to that this morning, though. That's all you're getting, just a few bars. And yeah, I got a different backdrop here. I haven't quite got with the, you know, the digital backdrop yet. So this is like a kind of like Jonathan Seagull sort of Wizard of Earthsea vibe, a little hippie sort of seaside background. Because, you know, we're all stuck in. Maybe one of these days maybe one of these days I could actually do this with my phone out in the park somewhere. That would be kind of rad. You know, outdoor meditating. We used to do outdoor yoga in California when we were making our last LP there. Actually, I've done outdoor yoga lots of places, mostly in America when it's warm. And it's just lovely, isn't it? So I hope you're getting outdoors a little bit. I know that in England, for instance, they have taken a step towards opening things up so people can get out a little bit more. I think that's probably going to be happening in Scotland quite soon. I know in America you've been doing your own crazy thing anyway. Well, some of you, it's the Wild West. Anyway, the main thing is, I hope you're safe. I hope your mind is remaining calm, considering. And if it's not, we are in a minute. We're going to do just a really simple, calming, breathing meditation. But I'll say a few words first. The title of today's meditation is Our True Intent ? You see maybe from the little kind of poster that there's a picture of a holiday camp. It's actually a Butlins holiday camp. And I used to work at Butlins holiday camp in the 80s. And their motto was, our true intent is all for your delight. And, it was just my summer job and everything, but I did like that. I did like that motto. And I still like that motto. And in fact, when years later we organized our own music festival, which we called the Bowley Weekender, we did it at a holiday camp that was like Butlins. It was Pontins, actually. And, our sort of motivation behind that was for your delight, which is a funny kind of word, but it seems like an old-fashioned word. It depends on the context, but we just want to give everybody a good time. But it is so important, this question of intent. And memorably for me, one time I was in my Buddhist class in Glasgow, which is, I can see the downtown from here. And my teacher at the time, who is called Zamling, and he's in Chicago now, he's not going to be watching, but I'd love it if he was. It would be great to say hi. But Zamling said, all this stuff, all this kind of Buddhist stuff, it can almost be boiled down to one line or one question. If you ask yourself at any time, what is your intent? It really simplifies things, because there was a lot of it's a lot of information. There was a lot of complicated stuff about the mind, and it's a lot for somebody like me to take in. But when Zamling said, you can just ask yourself what is your intent, and of course that doesn't just go for Buddhism. That goes for, I'm sure, any religion or no religion. It's kind of like a kind of moral common sense thing. If you stop, a little bit of mindfulness, stop and ask yourself, well, what is my intent in doing this? Your intent, obviously, it could be a good intent, it could be a negative intent, or it could just be neutral. I think we do a lot of neutral stuff. I think basically most of the stuff that we do is pretty neutral. It's kind of like survival stuff, or looking after our own comfort or pleasure. It's, the outcome seems good, but that's, I think, to all extents and purposes, our intent is pretty neutral at those points. So, and then you could ask, well, I could ask myself, well, what's my intent doing these little chats? And you might think that you might think I've got this positive intention that it's true. I would be lovely if, at least a few of you could feel better after we do our meditation. But, I have other intentions that it's kind of a little bit like putting on a music festival. I like a party, I like company, and so this is good for me as well, so it's not just, my intention isn't completely positive to an extent, maybe my intention is a little bit sneaky. Maybe I just partly I like the sound of my own voice, and so I enjoy doing this, and I get off on it, so that's a kind of neutral or maybe a little bit negative intention. I'm being a bit glib here, I'm hoping that that my intention is fairly good, but if I think about since I got up this morning, I made my wife coffee, and then I made breakfast for the wee one, but after that I kind of skedaddled so that I could come and think about this and do some band stuff. So it's not like I had a great charitable sort of morning this morning. Anyway, I hope we all try our best. So you can ask yourself about the meditation, like what are we doing? What's our intention in meditating? And we're looking for a peaceful mind. We're hopefully looking to become happy. That's what we're all trying after all. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's our main intent, really. But we can just ask ourselves for a second, what why are we meditating? And it's to hopefully make our minds calmer. And the idea is that we're going to focus on a virtuous object. And again, that virtuous, that sounds something a little bit out of Jane Austen or something, but it just means, something good like love or patience or being brave, or we can focus on the mind itself, what's going on there. There's a kind of Buddhist concept which is called emptiness, and when we get a little bit deeper, you sometimes notice there's a real calmness behind what's going on in our everyday stuff when we meditate. And one of the things that in a Buddhism class they like to delve down and find this inner peace, this real bliss, and they believe that our happiness comes from there. So that's something to that's something maybe ahead to think about and to aim for. But I thought today we could just simply do could just focus on the breath like we usually do, and maybe just do that for a little bit longer, because it is wonderfully calming, and it's good to keep things simple, and it's also good to remind ourselves that there's a lot of people that are maybe just starting on this meditation thing. So the focusing on the breath is very good practice, and it never gets old, and it you can never be too good at it. Now, although the breath is what they would call a neutral object, because your intention is good, because you are trying to find a peaceful mind, and not just for your sake, but for the sake of the people around about you. Remember that meditating is probably one of the best things that you can do for everybody you love, because you become a more chilled person, hopefully. So focusing on the breath actually becomes a positive thing. So let's get comfortable. This is the meditating part. I'm going to guide you through it, but I'm going to talk less as we go. I'm going to try not to be annoying. So if you can get in a comfortable seated position, with a straight back, hopefully. I mean, I don't really mind if you're just knackered and you need to lie down, but if you want to stay focused, it's good to keep a straight back. And you can close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes. Or you're welcome to keep them a little bit open and let a little bit of light in if you want to stay alert. So let's just take our thoughts inward. Let's leave behind the buzz of thoughts if you can. Leave your worries. We all have worries, but there's, for the next 10, 15 minutes, there's nothing you can do about them either way. Let's just leave them at the door. And let's take this time, this special time, and just think your intention today was to come here to feel a wee bit better, to get a peaceful mind. And it's such a good intention. So let's just feel the weight dropping away from your shoulders. Let's feel the muscles softening around your face. So for the first time, let's feel your breath. Just notice it. You don't have to affect it. Just place your thoughts on your breath. Specifically the tip of your nose. Where the cool air comes in and the warmer air goes out. And if your mind wanders, just help it back. Just take it by the hand and just bring it back to the breath. What an amazing thing that we're all meditating together. Don't worry if you find it tricky. We're all just learning. So again, just go back to your breath. Specifically the tip of your nose. And just focus on that sensation for a minute or so. I hope you're doing good. Can you feel that your experience, that your mind is maybe just a little bit more relaxed? Maybe you're in a slightly better place. Maybe you just needed to find this space for a few minutes. And it's so good for you. So just for another minute more, just try and almost just experience that peace. And let it grow if you can. Just enjoy it. So let's dedicate our little meditation practice to the good of ourselves and our health. And let's wish all the best for the people round about us. And then let's put our intention a little bit wider and wish all the best to the rest of the planet. Why not? You know, there's a few thousand of us on here, so we can do a lot of metaphysical damage here in a good way. And when you're ready, you can just open your eyes. I'm going to chat for a few minutes more like I usually do. So, you know, you can keep your eyes closed if you want, but for the rest of you, it's 2:00. The time goes really fast. I don't know where that half hour went. I hope that was okay for you. I hope you didn't feel that was a waste of time. But yeah, I'm gonna chat for a bit longer because I like the sound of my own voice. Just see if it's what the sun is doing. So, oh, sorry, pardon me. I stretched my legs. Yeah, part of the reason that I'm doing these things, you know, talking about intention again, is sort of rooted in that feeling of sharing when, you know, about 6 years ago, maybe even 7 years ago now, I started to go to a meditation class where they taught Buddhism as well. And, you know, I'd go to church and I thought, well, I'm going to come along here because I need something else. And I used to do meditation, and I like the idea of getting a peaceful mind, because my mind was far from peaceful at that point. And I just needed all the you know, the peace that I could get, I thought. But I was really surprised by the stuff that we were learning, not just the meditations, what they would call Dharma, which was all the lessons that we got, some of which, you know, I'm passing on to you from the books. You know, some of the stuff that I've absorbed over the past 6 years. It's basically I'm kind of passing that on to you, and I think that's it's a good intention to have. And the so-called Dharma is such a valuable thing. You know, back in the day, you would have to be a monk or a nun to learn some of this stuff. but we're really lucky that I'm lucky that I can just walk down to when it was open, that I can go to the Buddhism center, and we could pick up all this valuable teaching. Another really nice intention is that the man who wrote the books, upon which some of this teaching is based, who's called Geshe Kelsang Gyatso. His books are online, and a few of them are free. So you can actually download the ebooks for nothing. There's one called How to Transform Your Life, and there's one called Modern Buddhism, and I'd recommend that, which is pretty amazing. I mean, if you can watch me, then you can probably download those books onto Kindle or something like that, and just carry it around with you. All this really good stuff. I mentioned a curious thing just before the meditations called emptiness, and as you get further along, and I'm not very far along in the sort of meditating states, but there's this thing that they call emptiness that that happens when you experience what they call it, your subtle mind, which is a deeper mind. When you're meditating and your mind becomes calm and it becomes more supple, then in fact you can experience what's happening at your root mind. And there's a thing called emptiness, and they believe that's where a lot of your, just all the good stuff comes from, your good experience. But the funny thing, I've been writing recently. I've been writing a kind of a book for I've been writing stuff. It might be a book at some point, and I've been going back 20, 30 years. And I remember having, being in having quite a different experience of emptying my mind, and it being a really scary thing. At that time, I had my first serious experience of depression and anxiety. And I know that, during this lockdown, that people's experience, there's a lot of people who are perhaps experiencing anxiety and maybe depression for the first time. And it's a scary business, of course. Especially when you don't know what's going on. So I've been thinking back to that time, and I remember thinking that there was a void underneath everything that was going on. I experienced this like a black hole, like an abyss, and it scared the hell out of me. And I sort of resolved. I thought, all I need to do is to get away from this. I need to get away from this depression. I need to get away from this anxiety, and I need to put layers between myself and it. And that I'd experienced, it was horrible. And I thought naively that the answer was to just fill my days, my hours, my present time with any sort of experience to distract myself from that the dark stuff that was there, that was going on at all points. Well, I think differently now, thankfully. I'm absolutely convinced that if you can find, if you can find a peaceful mind through meditation, that there is only good stuff down there. But I think the fact is that my mind was far from peaceful back then. I was really inexperienced and I was lost, and my circumstance had led me to those, to that really bad time. So anyway, I'm hoping, I went at a bit of a tangent there, but I'm hoping that that I can convince you that that meditating, that is a good thing, and that underneath all that's going on, underneath the buzz and distraction of our lives, there is a wellspring of peace and happiness, in fact, down there, and we've just got to work at looking for it, as an accompaniment to our busy lives. I was meant to be talking about intention, and okay, I know some of you probably maybe starting to tune out or thinking, it's lunchtime or it's breakfast time in America, or bedtime in Japan or something. But I'll chat for a few minutes more. Yeah, this notion of intention. Are you serving yourself, or are you serving other people? And is it bad to serve yourself? We need to look after ourselves. I do remember that quite early on in the classes that I went to, they talked about self-cherishing, this interesting notion called self-cherishing. This was to come up again and again. And when I first heard it, I was kind of praying. I was thinking, oh, please tell me that self-cherishing is a good thing, because I feel like I need to look after myself just now. I'm a wreck. But as time went on, it was clear that from a Buddhist perspective, that self-cherishing is not a good thing. Self-cherishing is actually at the root of pretty much everything that's wrong with us. Let me just say, though, there's a difference between looking after yourself and the self-cherishing that they're talking about. In fact, I'll throw you in at the deep end just for a second. There's a Buddhist master called Shantideva, and his famous text is Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. And in that, he quotes that all the suffering there is in the world arises from wishing ourselves to be happy. All the happiness there is in this world arises from wishing others to be happy. You probably want your money back at this point. I would, if I heard that statement and I wasn't pretty deep into this thing, I would be thinking, no, that doesn't make sense at all. I didn't. I'm actually not. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna put that out there, and I'm not gonna try and. It would take a skillful Buddhist practitioner quite a few hours probably to put that in the kind of perspective that you need. But I'll just bring it back a little bit. When I was, like, for instance, yesterday I took a wander out. I went for my morning walk, and it was such a beautiful morning. And I don't know about you, I just love, we're having to be much more local these days. So I love walking around the lanes and the trails and just looking at all the trees and everything growing, everything is, I'm having much more um, looking at small stuff happening and finding a quiet spot. And I always used to, I do this quite often, just find a quiet spot in the sun, and I don't really care. I'll sit there, um, even though you're not meant to just now, but I'll just find a, a quiet spot in a lane, or up against a wall. And if it's sunny, I'll just plant myself there. And this old couple, I saw them coming along. It was like I was in a little ducat in a little pocket. And then this old couple came along, and I'd closed my eyes and I just started kind of meditating. And then I could feel them sort of coming closer. And I thought maybe they were going to stop and chat, or I could hear them saying, this is a nice place. I've never been here before. And this is, that way. And I was kind of thinking, oh no, not right now. Just can you just leave me to, it's basically been pretty selfish. But they just kind of, they took a look at me and then decided probably they didn't like the look of me, and then wandered off. But, the lady had a stick and the man was helping her along. And I felt really bad afterwards, because I'd had this kind of selfish intention, this poor intention. And I regretted it, because, that was probably the only time they got out in the whole day. And, especially when I'd opened my eyes and I saw her stick and everything like that. And it wouldn't have cost me much to chat with them for a few minutes. And they, that sort of stuff is important. I don't know about you, but sometimes a small interaction, whether it's with, I miss them now, a small interaction, whether it's with the guy who's driving the bus, or the guy, or the woman that sells you a cake in the morning. I miss them so much. And sometimes that can be the best part of your day, when you've got nothing else going on. Just like if somebody's like really positive, and their intention's good, and I'm telling you, it can be a seed. You could take that seed and it can really plant a seed in you. It can really turn your day around. And, maybe I could have turned their day around by just being nice and chatting, instead of wishing they could maybe go away. So there's a minuscule example of sort of what I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to get going. Maybe a last thought to take with you is that the good news is that this, the meditation part of what we're doing, you might think that comes under the thing of the headline of cherishing others. But in fact, it's a very virtuous thing to do. It's a very good all-round thing to do, because not only is it good for you, but as I said before, it's really great for the people around about you, because you should come out of it refreshed and ready to be not such a selfish person, like I was just talking about. So so meditation is always good. And then sometimes, like next week we might meditate on patience or love, and so we'll be actively meditating on good things that will really help others. But thank you so much for coming and sharing this time with me. I enjoy it so much. It's like I always say, my whole week tends to revolve around this now. So I intend to carry on these little chats, these little meditations, even when the lockdown starts to loosen a bit. Yeah, and if you have any questions, you can fire them over on Facebook, or you can email me at stuartmurdoch@gmail.com. That really is my email address. So yeah, bye for now, folks. All the best. Have a good week.